All right, we're about to dive into something truly profound today. It's a teaching that's been passed down for centuries. Think of it as a roadmap to spiritual awakening, laid out by the legendary master Padmasambhava himself. This is a journey that's going to take us from purifying our everyday experience all the way to realizing the true nature of our own minds. Let's get right into it.
The text doesn't start with just some simple biography. Right away, it establishes Padmasambhava as this figure of cosmic significance. He wasn't born in the usual way, but appeared as a radiant being from a lotus. Now, this isn't just about myth-making. It's a powerful way of telling us that the teachings we're about to hear come from a source of pure, unblemished wisdom.
So, the entire path kicks off with purification, and that's the whole focus of this first section, the Vas empowerment. This first crucial step is actually prompted by a direct question from the master's most devoted students, the king and queen of Tibet.
And here's that question. I love how direct this is. You have to picture the scene. The Tibetan king and queen have just taken part in this whole ceremony in a cave. There was a ritual vase, an intricate sand mandala, all these symbolic articles. And they want to know, what was the point of all that? What did it actually do for us? It's the question we'd all be asking, right?
Padmasambhava's answer is that this first step is called the vase empowerment. Now, it might be a symbolic starting point, but it is absolutely essential. The best way to think of it is like the key that unlocks the door to all the deeper, more transformative practices of the Vajrayana path in Tibetan Buddhism.
So what does it actually do? Well, it works on a few different levels. First, it helps purify all those karmic obscurations that kind of cloud up our perception. Then it formally opens the door and gives you permission to engage in more advanced practices like visualizing deities. And the ultimate outcome, it's a kind of mastery over the world of appearances. It's the foundation you absolutely have to have before you can build anything else on top of it.
Okay, so once that initial, more external purification is set, the teaching shifts. It moves from the symbolic world into the internal, subtle world inside us. And this brings us to the second stage, the secret empowerment, which is all about transforming our inner energy. And of course, the disciples want to know why. Why this intense focus on these concepts that seem so abstract, these channels and winds? I mean, what even are these subtle internal energies, and why is working with them the next critical step on the path?
Padmasambhava's answer here is just fascinating. To explain the journey, he starts by describing the destination. A fully enlightened being, a Buddha, he says, doesn't even need these practices. Why? Because their body isn't made of ordinary matter. It's literally composed of pure wisdom light. Their whole internal energy system is already perfect, made up of nothing but wisdom channels and wisdom winds.
And this table really lays it all out nice and clear. On the left, you've got us, sentient beings. Our internal landscape is run by what the text calls affliction channels, which come from ignorance and karmic winds that basically just blow us through life. The goal of this whole stage of practice is a kind of internal alchemy, to transform the state you see on the left into the state of an enlightened being on the right. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. The teaching connects our physical posture to our spiritual potential. It suggests that beings in other realms, like hell beings or hungry ghosts or animals, are not suitable vessels for these practices. Their physical state and their dominant energies are just locked into suffering or craving or dullness. But the human form, with its upright posture, well, that's different. According to this teaching, a full 1/4 of our inner channels and winds are already the wisdom type. It's like we have a seed of enlightenment built right into our own bodies. And that's why the human birth is considered so precious and why practice is so important. It's how we cultivate that seed and make it grow. So, we've laid the foundation, we're purifying our inner energies, and now we arrive at the third stage, the wisdom empowerment. This is where the path really shifts from preparation to the direct experience of profound insight. The next question goes even deeper into the subtle body. It focuses on a really specific concept, the pure essence, or bindu in Sanskrit. The students want to understand this practice of elevating this essence. What does that actually mean? And what's the purpose behind it? Before he even explains the practice, Padmasambhava defines what wisdom means here. And this is so crucial. It's not about philosophy, it's not about reading books, it's a direct physical experience of emptiness that happens when your subtle energies are finally balanced and flowing smoothly up the body's central channel. He then breaks the process down into 4 clear steps. It starts with practical things, like using nutritious food and warm clothing to gather energy. Then, you consciously guide that refined energy, that essence, upwards. The third step is key. You have to prevent that energy from scattering or being wasted. And the result is something you can actually feel, a mind free from constant chatter and a body that feels radiant and full of light.
And the ultimate promise here is just wow. According to the text, if you master this practice with a qualified teacher, you can reach the stage of non-returning. That's a point of irreversible spiritual progress. And you get there not through struggle, but as a natural, effortless result of the practice. So, after this whole journey through purification and transforming our energy, we finally arrive at the ultimate empowerment. This last stage isn't about adding anything or changing anything, it's about simply recognizing what's been true all along.
This final question gets right to the heart of everything. After all this prep work, what does it actually mean to have your own mind pointed out as the Dharmakaya? The Dharmakaya is basically the truth body. It's the fundamental, unmanifested nature of reality itself. Padmasambhava's answer is a straight dive into the deep end of reality. He says that everything, and he means everything, from the confusion of our ordinary lives, samsara, to the clarity of enlightenment, nirvana, is a union of two things, appearance and emptiness. Everything that shows up in our world is, at its core, empty of any solid, separate existence. So, the instruction is incredibly simple and at the same time, incredibly profound. Stop making stuff up. Stop trying to cram reality into our neat little conceptual boxes. The practice is just to rest in the direct recognition of this all-pervading emptiness, a state that's beyond all our labels and categories. But then, and this is so important, comes a critical warning. A correct understanding of emptiness is totally liberating. But a misunderstanding of it, well, that's considered the most dangerous mistake you can make on the spiritual path. It can turn into nihilism or just a kind of spiritual laziness. And this, the text really hammers home, is why the guidance of a genuine teacher is absolutely non-negotiable. The disciples then ask for one last clarification about the absolute peak of the mountain. They want to understand the difference between the empowerments they've been learning about and this supreme thing called the empowerment of the manifestation of awareness. And this final comparison shows just how unique it is. The first three empowerments, they lay out a gradual path, which is perfect for most of us. But the empowerment of awareness, that's something else entirely. It's described as a direct transmission from the ultimate source, meant for those rare individuals who have the capacity to wake up in an instant. It's not another step on the path. It is the destination. And that brings us to our final thought, a question that really sticks with you long after you finish reading. Padmasambhava gives this stark warning about confusing real insight with just a shallow idea of emptiness. So it leaves us wondering, in our own lives, how do we tell the difference? How do we know if we're having a genuine transformative insight or just settling for a comfortable intellectual idea that lets us keep our old habits? That might just be the most crucial question for any of us on a path of discovery.